So tonight, my thought for my part was to focus around the use of my art as part of my processes of inner healing and transformation, as well as how I learned the Dharma, spiritual practice and maturity, how to apply that in an engaged way, through coming to understand how it applies to my life through my processes. So I'll start with a relatively concise introduction, and sharing 3 pieces of poetry and associated mandalas. And then after that, we'll end the recording and go into the community participation portion. All right, so the first poem is called Fear Not the Quaking. And this is one that I did in June of this year. And this whole process is basically about working with this dread, this feeling of dread that I've lived with for most of my life. And I first identified some of it decades ago in a mask making workshop that well, I'll come to that piece. So here, let me show you the first mandala. This one was actually executed a year before the poem, but it's directly related, so it's sufficiently depicts it. So this mandala is from June of 2020, and it's entering the cave of the dread monster. So of course it's a classic image of, you know, entering the cave, you know, going into the mouth of the beast, and here's its wonderful fangs. But there I am. I'm going in there. The process of my, you know, the waters of my process are flowing in there, and I'm intentionally moving inward. So heading toward the belly of the beast. So the poem, Fear Not the Quaking. Fear not to enter that dark place. Quaking in your boots, place them one by one on the gritty earth that grinds under your heels as wheat is ground by the millstone. Gather your courage, your heart, determination, your will to continue into the den of this dread beast. Only by facing this monster can you vanquish it, and with the heart of friendship, gain the precious treasure that lies only within this deep cave. So if I had done a mandala to depict the imagery from the poem, it would be a cave that's going into a mountain and has a bunch of gritty sand. That this is the same, this is the process. And what you may or may not be able to see clearly is these little gems and jewels embedded in the cave walls. So that's the treasure within. So that was June, about mid-June. And now we have a second poem. This is the second one in the sequence, even though it was executed before the first poem. I wrote this in anticipation of attending the first Poetry Sangha meeting. And I'm proud to say I did it in a poetic form that I created. And I had a lot of fun modifying it a little bit. I just like to play with things, so what can I say? When one invents their own form, that means I get to invent the rules too. So the mandala that goes with that, this one is from June 15th of this year. And this one is not titled, But this is what I remember of that mask that I created in the mid 1980s at that mask making workshop. It was very elaborate. It went over the back of my head. It was form fitting to my face. And I called it Gargon. And this was a really, really, really scary monster. And these are a pair of angels, and their wings are kind of intertwined with each other, but they're fully surrounding and holding the mask. Because I have an association with the formation of this dread, and it relates to a traumatic experience from when I was young, where I was so terrified. I was trying to leave my body completely. And my experience as that child was that there were two angels who would not let me go. In other words, they wouldn't let me die. So, so that's what these two angels represent. So here's the poem, Dread Monster. Dread monster, beast, why are you here? Dread beast, how come you from the hidden night? When you rampage, it fills my throat with fright. The apprehension grows beyond my gauge, and with anxiety I can't assuage. I do that which I must to shut my sight. Your shadowed looming bulk obscures the light. Oh, frightful, dreaded beast, why are you here? It seems that now I need to hold you dear. When softling slumbered, hunger took its bite. So young and with few ways to flee or fight. Restrained within that deprivation cage, your desperation turned from fright to rage. With open heart, moved by your dreadful plight, I know that now you need to be held tight. Now I know I need to hold you dear. So within this poem, you can see the beginnings of the movement, of the shift from moving toward being willing to face the monster, and then the shifting relationship where I'm starting to realize, oh, you know, that's a reaction that happened from a deep wounding. And that place needs love and friendship, not rejection. So the final poem in Mandala, this last poem, is called Gatekeeper. And this was written July 3rd. And the mandala was executed the next day, July 4th. This mandala is called The Monster Within Me. The monster within me is me. Gatekeeper of hells, why do we fight? I struggle and flail, you bite. Gatekeeper of wells, keep you the night? While I long to fall from abyssal height. Gatekeeper, keep well and tight your grasp on keys that hold my might. I, the fearer, you the one feared, two parts of a whole, sundered, seared. Together we keep me from my whole self. A burden I long to relinquish now. Dear guardian, I am finally learning to thank you. Gatekeeper, gatekeeper, guard me well. Promises made, secrets kept. My only face, no longer alone, lights as you rise inside me. I'll lighten the paths as you guide me to treasures held deep, buried beneath the armor 'twas meant to hide me. And so the experience that this depicts and the poem, describes is when I realized that this experience that I was identifying, this fearing, I was identifying with the dread, with the anxiety. And once I realized, oh, identification, this is a sub personality, this is a part of myself, it's not who I am, then I was able to experience that these were parts, different subparts that were keeping me from greater integration and wholeness. So this is the initial part of the integration. You can see the colors from, the blood red being incorporated here, and the creativity and the life vitality coming out and being reflected in the eyes, and all this playful hair stuff going on. So that was that last part was a major shift in a process that I've been working on for decades in my growth and healing. And I'm happy to share it with you all.